Welcome, Hoosier fans, to another episode of Podcast on the Brink, your weekly dose of Indiana University basketball news and discussion. I'm your host, Jerod Morris. Podcast on the Brink is a joint production of the Assembly Call and Inside the Hall. For complete coverage of IU basketball, visit assemblycall.com and insidethehall.com.
And he is going to be sacked again. T. Grayscale's got to him. And Westbrook is there! He makes the catch! And he puts the cherry on top of the whipped cream as Indiana's going to win here this afternoon with 49 seconds to go.
Get your Indiana football tickets now and be at beautiful Memorial Stadium for homecoming as the Hoosiers take on Big Ten East Division rival, the Michigan Wolverines, this Saturday. And as always, you tickets are just $10. Breakthrough. Go IU.
On this week's edition of Podcast on the Brink, we are joined by one of our favorite recurring guests. We tend to have him on every offseason. That is Jeremy Gray, Indiana's Associate Athletic Director. And we talk with him about a wide range of subjects, but most notable is Hoosier Hysteria. And he gives us a lot of great insight on what the plan is, how the event will be different, what you can do if you're not going to be there at the arena to watch it. And then we also talk about how some things will be different at Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall this season, and much, much more. It's a wide-ranging conversation, a lot of important details. You'll really enjoy it. All of that on this week's edition of Podcast on the Brink. Hey, real quick, a word about this week's sponsor, SeatGeek. Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be complicated, but there is a better, simpler way to buy with SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to live events, because with SeatGeek's seamless mobile experience, you can buy and sell tickets in just 2 taps. SeatGeek helps you find the best seats at the best prices, fully guaranteed. There really is nothing quite like seeing your favorite team or musician in person, and SeatGeek will get you closer to the action for a great value. I have SeatGeek on my phone, and it's by far the easiest way that I've found to shop for tickets. I can be anywhere, and like I just mentioned, with just a few taps, I can instantly find seats to anything that I want to go to. I actually used SeatGeek to buy tickets earlier this year to see Yogi play here in Dallas. I bought my wife concert tickets for the summer. So SeatGeek is designed to make your ticket buying experience easier than ever. They save you time and money by searching multiple ticket sites to compare prices and find amazing deals. Now, here's how to get an even better deal, which is Podcast on the Brink listeners get $20 off of your first SeatGeek purchase. Download the SeatGeek app, enter the promo code BRINK, B-R-I-N-K today, and you'll get $20 back from SeatGeek. That's promo code BRINK, B-R-I-N-K. And now, on with this week's episode of Podcast on the Brink. And we are joined on this week's episode of Podcast on the Brink by a passionate fan of all 24 Hoosier sports. This man is a bottomless well of historical facts, figures, and stories about IU sports. He is Indiana's Associate Athletic Director, Jeremy Gray. Welcome back to Podcast on the Brink, Jeremy.
It's good to be with you guys. Basketball season's right around the corner.
It is. It is. It is always great to have you on the show. And one reason that we like to have you on before the season begins is because you typically have insight, on what fans might be able to expect at Hoosier Hysteria, and also just in terms of maybe the game day experience at Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall, if there's anything new. So maybe let's just start there. What can you tell us about Hoosier Hysteria specifically, and then also if there are any changes that we might be able to expect at the Hall this year?
Well, with Hoosier Hysteria, very, very excited about this. We got the date quite a while ago, so it's been really nice with the planning process, being able to move forward and promote the event. So we're really excited about the upcoming festivities on the 21st. Doors will open at 5:30. The festivities begin at 7 o'clock, and I think it's going to be a special night. It's always... we're one of the few schools that still does an event like this, that's able to pull off an event like this. But I think even with our usually large crowds, we're going to have an especially large crowd for this one, with it being year one of the Archie Miller era. And I think people are really excited to try to help our chances in some key recruiting battles by having a large turnout and showing everybody what the support of Hoosier Nation's all about. And I'm really, really pumped for the event itself.
Jeremy, I was interviewed the other day on the radio just about Hoosier Hysteria in general, and I made the comment that I've been covering these now going back to, I think, 2010 or 11. And I remember going a long time ago when I think it was like Luau Ding and Charlie Villanueva were there. And that was a recruiting showcase even back in the day. But this year feels different. Obviously, the coaching change has added a little spark. But overall, would you agree that this might be the most anticipated Hysteria since 2012 when Indiana went into the season ranked preseason number 1?
I totally agree. And I think there are a couple of reasons why. And one is that the new head coach, people are curious, want to see the team, want to get their first glimpse. Two, I think you made reference to recruiting battles from yesteryear. I think there's some piqued interest in recruiting this year. And this is a key event on the recruiting calendar. And people like to, one thing that's unique about Indiana is that the fan base likes to actively support the team to try to show, how widespread the fan base is to make it appealing to recruits. And then I think the third reason why is the event often reflects what the coaching staff wants to present to the public. And I think people are just genuinely curious of what Hoosier Hysteria will look like under Archie Miller because everybody puts their stamp on it.
So we got some vague details, I think, last week, or maybe, I don't know, the weeks are running together now on kind of what the formal outline is for the night. And I know doors are going to open at 5:30. I'm sure people will be lined up hours before that, as they always do. The event starts at 7. Without giving any state secrets, can you tell us a little bit maybe more about the format for the night, what fans can expect, and any other details that people should know before they head out the door and head to Hysteria?
Well, I'll answer one question that I'm sure I will get on Twitter eventually anyway, and that is we will be showing the football game on the video board all the way up until about 6:55 when the show is supposed to start. So there's a chance that the football game will be over before the start, but it's a chance for people to follow the football team heading into the event itself. The other thing that I think will be a little bit different is I think there is an emphasis on brevity, and we're going to get through the program very quickly to be able to get to the scrimmage itself. We've heard complaints in previous years that it went too long and they had to leave halftime at the scrimmage because they had to get their family home or whatever. I don't think that'll be an issue here. The program starts at 7. I think you're going to see the guys play by 7:45. So it's going to move. Some other details, you're not going to have student contests. There are going to be some really cool video elements, but there are going to be fewer of them and shorter videos. Coach Miller and Coach Moore are going to address the crowd. We'll still have the pyrotechnics introducing the two teams, loud festive music, all of that kind of stuff. We'll have a dunk contest, probably limiting it to 4 participants and 3 total judges, but we'll move through that pretty quickly. And then we're going to have the scrimmage, and they're going to play 40 minutes of basketball. So it's going to be exciting to watch. You're going to be able to see what an Archie Miller team looks like and see the progress that the team has been making here in the offseason to get ready for the 2017-18 year. But I think it's going to be a fun environment. People are kind of jacked up about it. As you've said, I've gotten more like text messages about this one than I have in any in recent memory, probably dating back to that 2012-13 season one where it was standing room only an hour before the event started. I don't know if we'll get to that level here, but it's going to be a big packed event, I think, on a really ideal day too.
So it's going to be a full 40-minute scrimmage.
The first casualty of war is always the plan, and so things can change. But I think they're planning on having a a pretty good, solid workout there for people to watch.
So let me ask you this about the scrimmage, because I got into a conversation about this with a fellow IU fan earlier this week, and he was saying he can't, wait to see the scrimmage. He really wants to see the defense be better and, see the team taking care of the ball better. And it kind of had a lot of expectations for what the team may look like in the scrimmage. And I, tried to say, let's be fair about what we expect for the first time out. You got some young guys who may be jittery. This is still the first public performance, for the team under a new coach. Not every issue from the past may be fixed and things may not look perfect. How would you kind of coach fans, I guess, who are obviously very excited, very enthusiastic on how to, let's say, set proper expectations for watching the scrimmage and not totally overreacting, even though we'll all overreact to some degree because it's what we do?
Well, as the son of a football coach, I think you'll appreciate my sentiment here, because people have asked, how did the football team look at practice? And I'm like, how did the secondary look at practice? Well, they look pretty good running through tires. I mean, I can't really tell. I think sometimes, even in scrimmages, it's difficult to tell. I mean, if the team misses a lot of shots in the scrimmage, does it mean that the defense really got better, or did it mean that they missed a lot of shots? If they don't turn the ball over, which of course is a point of emphasis, is it because they're protecting the basketball better, or is it because the defense is not forcing any turnovers? I mean, you can almost glean anything out of a scrimmage. And I think, to your point, all of this is going to be a work in progress. And, what you see out there on October 21st is not necessarily what you're going to see in the first games in early November, or the marquee matchups that start rolling around at the end of November and roll into December, or at the end of the year when they're getting ready for the Big Ten tournament. So I think it'll be great to see guys work out and play together, the energy level, the effort level. But I wouldn't start, penciling in the starting lineup based upon how it all plays out in scrimmages. And you look at spring football games, which are scrimmages all the time, and there are people who dominate spring football games who are not particularly productive the following fall, and there are people who are quiet in those games who end up on All-American lists at the end of the year. So yeah. I wouldn't put a ton of stock in what you see, other than you're going to see a general style of play and hopefully hard work and effort out there.
Yeah, and an introduction to the new guys, an introduction to the new svelte Deron Davis. So you just kind of enjoy watching the team play for the first time publicly.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this: you guys talked about how it's a recruiting showcase, and that's always been part of what Hoosier Hysteria is. And we know that a certain recruit from New Albany, Indiana, is scheduled to be there. Other high-profile recruits. What are kind of the rules for what can be done with recruits there? Like, I don't think you're allowed to announce that they're there, right? Like, what can be done, and how would you kind of coach fans on what is the best way to show support from a recruiting standpoint, if you're there in the hall during the event?
Well, to put me on the plank with our compliance office. No, I'm just kidding. So yes, we can't make any sort of public announcement about who is there. We can't focus on their faces on the video board. We can't write and design signs and stuff like that to promote them being there at all. To us, they're just we have to treat them just as we would any other spectator. As far as fans are concerned, if you recognize a recruit, feel free to introduce yourself and say you would be a great Indiana Hoosier. That would be the advice that I would give. But yeah, we've got to stay away from pointing out prospective student athletes.
Jeremy, I know there's some changes this year to security measures at football games, and my understanding is those are also going to be changes for fans at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Any high-level overview there of what may be different in terms of security this season at Simon Scott Assembly Hall?
Yeah, no, there's some unique challenges to basketball that we don't have for football. Football, people tailgate, so they arrive throughout the day. Basketball, if there's a 7:00 game, everybody's showing up at 6:40. And so you got to get them in the doors quickly. So I think the big thing that people need to realize is that we do have a clear bag policy that will be applicable to basketball in the same way that we do with football. All of that can be found online about what size bags are allowed in, and if it's larger than that, then you have to put all of your items in a clear bag. We will also have magnometers which are walk-through metal detectors. We're not doing the wanding metal detectors because studies have shown that with wanding, it takes 10 to 12 seconds to get a fan through. With magnometers, it takes 5 to 7 seconds, and it's less intrusive. And you're not getting patted down as you walk in. So the magnometers are a change for everybody, and the clear bag policy are changes that people need to be aware of. We just recommend, and I know it's really hard for people who are coming here from areas north of Martinsville to plan for this, but especially with some of the construction issues, along with the security measures at the arena itself, we just really advise people to leave early and arrive early to Simon Scott Assembly Hall for game days to make it as pleasant an experience as possible.
And now I'm going to give you a question that you're going to get on Twitter at least 50 times between now and Hoosier Hysteria. I'm going to get it 50 times. Jerod's at least going to get it 50 times. Everyone I think that covers IU or is associated is going to get it. How can people that won't be in the hall that night follow Hoosier Hysteria? Will there be streaming for the event? And my understanding is there's going to the 2 exhibition games are going to be on BTN Plus, and the opener are going to be on BTN Plus. So that first month of the season, if fans want to see things towards the beginning of the year, they're going to need to have that package.
Correct, and that's where you'll be able to watch Hoosier Hysteria as well. And a couple of things about that I'd love to touch on. Because of the power of Indiana basketball compared to the other brands in the Big Ten in that sport, we traditionally have fewer games that are broadcast in that medium than other schools in the Big Ten. There was one year that we had 1 or 2, and I believe Iowa had 6. So we tend to have fewer games that are broadcast through just the streaming portal for Big Ten Network than other schools. And other schools are experiencing the same thing. So they're not picking on Indiana. And I know that some Indiana fans feel that way. 2, and this is becoming a less an issue over time as you have Netflix and Hulu and people are used to streaming content. But if you do buy the package, it is a monthly package, and you should be able to get most of your needs for the season covered in a 1-month subscription. So I would strongly recommend that. And then the third, and I've been directly involved in all of this, both through good and bad. Sometimes I feel like the expectation of the broadcast is very low, and people tell people not to buy the broadcast based upon technical difficulties that they experienced streaming it in 2010, 2011, 2012. It is a whole new world with technology, with our investment in the Cuban Center and working with IU Radio TV services and training the broadcasters throughout their college careers. The quality of the streams is much better and much more reliable than probably the first couple of years that we made you guys buy this. So the scars of 2010 to 2012 through the streaming platform should not inform your decision whether or not to buy it in 2017, because the broadcasters and the stream quality are generally very good, and Indiana's rated amongst the top in the Big Ten Conference in the quality of their broadcasts and streams. So just want to get that out there, and with that, I'm sure that we'll have a crane sever a fiber optic cable and cut us off the air, and I'll have to eat my words and send a bunch of refunds. But do strongly recommend people get the stream, that it's not bad like it used to be.
No, I second that. That stream has gotten better every year. No question about it. We talked about what is going to be different about people entering, or for people entering the game at Simon Scott Assembly Hall this year. Is there anything else, Jeremy, that you're expecting to be different just in terms of the presentation of the game? Any other bells and whistles or anything that'll be new there?
This has been a process that has been ongoing, and it was top of mind for Coach Crean when he was here, and we have been working on this for a while, but I think we're getting to a much, much better point where I think the timeouts themselves are going to be cleaner. And it's a subtle difference that people wouldn't necessarily remember, but or even recognize when they're in the stadium. But it kind of felt for a while we just had advertisement. Okay, get back to play. Now we figured out a way to maybe do advertisements in a more subtle or effective way with promotions to keep people engaged in the timeouts to carry the energy. I mean, it's a big difference than it was 30 years ago. I mean, a timeout can be 2.5, 3 minutes, and that's a long time. So we've been working on that. For break games, we have started to have more and more theme days that I think will help with crowds. So similar to what you find with like Think Pink or Salute to Service games, which are kind of standard across all sports. We're going to have things like Teacher Appreciation Day, Youth Basketball Day, where there's discounted tickets up for some of those break games for people participating in youth basketball leagues, doing different things to fill the stands for those break games. And then I think we've got a great series of halftime entertainment lined up. We're still finalizing dates on that, so I don't want to promote those yet. We will have the firecracker, so I'll answer that follow-up question. But we're going to have great halftime entertainment. And then as far as the presentation, the intro video is going to be shorter than it has been in years past. It used to run about 1:30. It's going to be now a hard and fast 1-minute introduction. And other than that, it's going to be the same great assembly hall, and it's our job to be caretakers of one of the great environments in college basketball.
Earlier today when I was kind of prepping for this, I was thinking, Jeremy, how much has changed since the last time we talked? Because the last time we chatted, we were all still anxiously awaiting the completion of Simon Scott Assembly Hall, the renovations. Both the football and basketball teams had different coaches than they do now. I mean, there was still a lot of optimism, I think, for both teams, just like there is now, just different men in charge. So it's been quite a year. Quite a lot has changed since we talked, and a lot is different in the athletic department. I'm curious, from your perspective, how different do things feel? Because like I said, even back then, there was still a lot of optimism, and there's a lot of optimism now. Do things feel appreciably different from where you sit?
People are very excited about our two new head coaches, both Tom Allen in football and then obviously Archie Miller in men's basketball. Each coach puts an imprint on a program and, sends them in different directions and areas just, beyond what is on the court itself. And I think Kevin Wilson and Tom Crean deserve a lot of credit where they did a lot of, I think, important things to modernize both of the programs. But Archie Miller obviously has got some ideas too on how the environment will change. But, it's still the same crazy, athletics lifestyle. It's a great lifestyle, but I was telling you before you click the record button, it's that time of year where football and basketball overlap. So it's 80-degree days and eating a lot of McDonald's because you can't take time to go sit down for lunch somewhere else, or 80-hour weeks rather. And it's the same topsy-turvy, hardworking environment that it always is. But we're really excited to see what the Archie Miller era is going to present to IU, and the early returns I think so far have been very, very positive.
Jeremy, can you give a brief overview, maybe how season ticket sales are going this year from the student body? I know that obviously Indiana promotes the biggest student section in the country. How are sales going, and what's the reception been like from students to the changes obviously in the coaching situation?
I think the students are very excited. They might follow recruiting as closely as anyone. And I think they're very pumped for the future of IU basketball. And, just like every year, we are going to have the largest student section in college basketball of 7,800 students for 16 of our, or maybe this year, 15 of our home basketball games. But ticket sales are pretty good. I mean, we've sold somewhere around the order of 11,000 student season tickets this year, which is a very, very good haul. It's going to be a nice rotation for students this year. And I think it's going to be a nice raucous environment as we have a lot of great marquee home games this year.
The other thing quickly, I just wanted to bring up, I know there's a lot of fans who don't have season tickets, but can have a chance to come watch games through the mini series packages that are available every year. Are those on sale yet? And I guess what details are available at this point for fans if they want to, who wouldn't normally be able to make a game, to be able to come to Assembly Hall and check out a game this year?
I would actually say that this is my priority number one as far as the basketball environment for this year, other than, kind of setting the tone for what the presentation for the team is trying to fill the stands for those break games. When you say break games, We have, 17,222 seats in Assembly Hall. General public who buys season tickets gets all 20 home games. But we do not sell tickets to students as part of their student season ticket package for games that are over holiday break. And this year we have an inordinate number. Typically we have 3 or 4. This year we have 6 games that are over either Thanksgiving or Christmas break. So we have to sell those 7,800 tickets. And that's why we have theme days like Scout Day, Teacher Appreciation Day, Salute to Service, Community Day. So that's a way that we try to sell those tickets to fill it up with 17,222. But it's very important for us to sell to IU fans, and they're great holiday gifts for family members. It's an inexpensive way to catch the environment at Assembly Hall. We understand that not everybody can afford a season ticket, and plus there's a wait list for it anyway. It's a chance to see the action. We're promoting those ticket sales through our email database as well as on the video board at football games. So please buy them. You can buy the full 6 ticket package for a reduced rate and better seats if you buy all 6 games. But then we have what we call a 3-pointer where you can buy 3 games, a 3-game package of your choosing. And then, of course, you can buy one-off single-game tickets. And you can do all of it, on our website, iuhoosiers.com, or by calling 866-IU-SPORTS. But it's a huge, huge priority for us. We are able to announce sellouts for every game that the students are here. We want to be able to announce sellouts for even the games that they're not. So it's a huge priority for us.
Absolutely. So one last question for you, Jeremy. You're in such a unique position. As I mentioned before, you're maybe the biggest IU fan that I know. As diehard an IU fan of all the sports teams as there is, but obviously, you also view them in an official capacity as associate athletic director. So I'm curious, just you, the fan of the basketball team, what are you most looking forward to, to seeing at Hoosier Hysteria when the team actually takes the floor? Is it, just something about the team, a specific guy, a new youngster? Like, what is it that really has you excited to see when the team debuts at Hoosier Hysteria?
I'm really excited, and this is going to make me out to be a basketball dork. I'm excited to see the pack line defense. Whether Archie Miller's referencing the Pittsburgh Steel Curtain or just talking about the style of play, you can just get this sense that there's a huge emphasis on defense, and I can't wait to see it employed for the first time. So I am totally geeked out about the pack line defense. It always has seemed to be extraordinarily difficult to score on, and with the way it seems that we're able to recruit, putting together a team of NBA-level athleticism with that defensive strategy just, excites and tickles the imagination. So I'm really, really excited to see that. And then, it would have been great for any one of those 3 guys who departed for professional basketball to come back, and I liked all 3 of them as players and as individuals. But to see, what will Jawan Morgan be like? Colin Hartman as a leader. Rob Johnson is maybe the top scoring option. I'm really, really excited to see that. And then, as you said, the more svelte Deron Davis, who coach has been effusive about. So I'm excited to see all that. But really, to me, the star of the show, starting at 7:45, is going to be the pack line defense.
Absolutely. Well, Jeremy, thank you, as always, for your time. We always appreciate this episode every off season. And good luck with all the rest of the preparations for Hoosier Hysteria.
Hey, no problem. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Podcast on the Brink. We always appreciate you being here. To get more from me and from Alex, visit assemblycall.com and insidethehall.com for complete coverage of Indiana University basketball. If you liked this episode, please consider sharing it with a friend or family member who loves IU basketball as much as you do. You can also support the show by leaving a rating and review on iTunes, which helps us get the word out to more IU fans like yourself. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode. Until then, as always, go Hoosiers.